Welcome back. We are continuing our coverage of the latest indictment from Special Counsel Robert Mueller, the one threatening to upend the Trump-Putin summit. Now, this indictment explains every move the Russians made to gain access to computer systems belonging to Clinton campaign employees and volunteers in the DNC. Here is how one Russian military officer hacked Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. I quote, "The Russian altered the appearance of the sender email address in order to make it look like the email was a security notification from Google, a technique known as spoofing, instructing the user to change his password by clicking the embedded link. Those instructions were followed. On or about March 21st, 2016, so 2 days later, the Russians stole the contents of the chairman's email account, which consisted of over 50,000 emails. John Podesta joins us now. John, hearing it laid out in detail like that, the details of how your emails were stolen, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's good to be with you, Anna, but, it's painful to hear. But I think that what is at the bottom of all this is something that's been known for a very long time, and really is what's at the heart of the Mueller investigation, which is that crimes were committed. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act was broken. There was a conspiracy to do it. It was run by 12 senior military intelligence agencies, agents at the direction of Vladimir Putin. There was money laundering involved, and we now know there's enough information that the FBI has, that Robert Mueller has, that they can prove that in court.
I mean, as I was reading this 29-page indictment, I kept on coming across these details like what I just read, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it could happen to any of us. These phishing emails are out there. When you look back, do you remember getting that email specifically, and did it raise any red flags for you?
There's a backstory to that, and it involves a couple of different people in the campaign, but no, I don't remember getting it, the files were obviously opened up. The Russians stole them. They delivered them through WikiLeaks to do maximum damage to our campaign. And all, again, as our intelligence community has assessed, helped Donald Trump get elected president. To this day, he refuses to admit it, keeps joking around about it, attacks Mueller and the investigators, refuses, I think, to stand up for America. So we'll see what happens on Monday when he meets with Vladimir Putin. What he should do is insist that, first of all, that all this activity stop, and that, or else there'll be tremendous consequences. But as the director of national intelligence said, the red lights are blinking, but I think the White House is essentially asleep at the switch.
I mean, it is really striking that the president's response in the formal White House statement that they put out after this indictment had no mention of Russia. In fact, it does go on to point fingers at the past administration. Let me quote the president here. "These Russian individuals did their work during the Obama years. Why didn't Obama do something about it? Because he thought crooked Hillary Clinton would win. That's why. Had nothing to do with the Trump administration." John, did U.S. officials count too much on Clinton winning? Do you wish Obama had done something more?
Look, I think that they knew more than I think the public knew. They did put out a letter on October 7th saying that the Russians were trying to interfere in the election. But obviously, again, this has been the subject of a good deal of commentary and discussion, particularly at the end when Jim Comey decided to reopen and then close the email investigation of Hillary Clinton, and yet provide no information about the fact that the FBI was also looking at Russian connections to the Trump campaign. I think that definitely hurt us. And I think if my friends in the Obama administration had to do it all over again, they probably would have done it differently.
Do you think any campaign is prepared for an attack like this?
Well, look, these are extremely sophisticated agents. They're not just Russians, obviously, that are out and afoot. The Chinese do it as well, the North Koreans, the Iranians. But I think that, the difference between 2016 and what I think we saw going back to 2008 when the Chinese hacked into the Obama campaign and the McCain campaign was those were intelligence operations. And for the first time, really, in the United States context, the Russians weaponized the fruits of those intelligence gathering efforts in order to help one candidate against another. That was new. It, of course, had been done in Eastern Europe in Moscow's backyard, but it had never been done at that grand scale in the West, and particularly the United States. And it's high time that the president take that seriously and try to do something about it. Instead, I think what we'll see is more of the same from Trump, which is try to be buddies with a guy who completely attacked our democracy, and that's a sad commentary on the state of the presidency.
But does a comment like that help in terms of the politicization of this issue?
Comment like mine, I'm just telling you what I think. I agree with Mr. Rosenstein, who said yesterday that we should try to manage this matter by putting our partisanship aside, by not acting like Democrats or Republicans. I think he put it well when he said that this is an issue of vital national security and we ought to come together. But then when I watched the president's tweets this morning, it's hard to, kind of take that seriously.
John Podesta, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much for your time this weekend.
Good to be with you, Anna.